with like the potty training and stuff?
Good.
Good?
Yeah, really good. He hasn't had an accident inside for quite a while.
Okay.
He's good all night. Yeah.
He does bark.
He does have a barking problem.
In the kennel? Or just in the home?
Well, that's another issue because since we've been home, we really haven't put him in the crate in the daytime.
Sure.
And so now that we're trying to do that, he isn't really happy.
Yeah. And how long have you had him for?
About 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So with what you purchase, you get 2 Zoom sessions as well.
Yeah.
We can cover the crate training during the Zoom sessions.
Oh,
This
okay.
way we get the most out of the in-person stuff.
Oh, okay.
I definitely want to start the crate training stuff because...
Yeah, we've tried. You know, like every day we try.
Sure.
The longest he's stayed is like 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. Just because of the barking? Is it bad? Okay.
Well, maybe to us it seems bad because we have neighbors on both sides of
Sure.
us. You know, we're in a condo and big ceiling, high ceilings, so it sounds like he's like raising the dead.
Sure.
But maybe it's not so bad. We gave them notes.
Yeah,
Our
good.
neighbors that said, you know, this is what we're doing. So
Yes, that's always good. So at least they're aware, and you don't just get a random complaint out of anywhere.
yeah.
So, all right, so that's good to know. Once we get into, have you ever used the Prong before?
No, we just put it on the other day.
Just on our son's dog.
Since
Papa.
Friday.
Okay, so, but you're familiar with how you like used one before with like
Yeah,
the previous
yeah.
one. Okay, cool. So, what's going to help with the barking is correcting, and you can use the Prong as a correctional tool. Okay, but it requires some technical skill.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So, because I know I think when we were emailing, I was like, do you want to do Prong or e-collar? E-collar is the easiest just because you just press a button. Prong takes a little bit more. You have to like, you know, pop the dog, and it has
Give
to
it a
be
good-
correct enough that, like right here, see how you went from whining to just laying down?
Yeah, yeah.
That was me just saying, don't whine, right? And we'll cover all that stuff. If you find that you're having a hard time, because sometimes physical strength can be a part of it, right? And it, like, you could give your harshest correction, and he'll still bark, right? So then the next thing is like, all right, well, how are we gonna provide an aversion harsh enough that it will deter the behavior? But that's all play it by ear kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Okay, does it make sense though?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
but we'll start off with the basics. I mean, it's already been 6 weeks, so if you go a week without telling them, like, it's no big deal.
Right.
So we don't have to rush through things, okay?
Okay.
So, with Hopper, did Jason, like, ever show you anything with, like, the Prong and stuff, like how he used it?
A little bit because my husband Michael would walk Copper.
Sure.
And then when they got Piper, then we would both go and walk both dogs. But Piper hadn't been to you yet.
Uh-huh.
And Copper, he used the
E-collar.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think by the time we were walking, he had the e-collar, so we didn't do the Prong at all.
Yeah. And well, Prong, no, except for Jason said to make him yelp.
Sure. You know, Copper's a bigger dog, right?
Oh, Copper's, yeah.
And one thing we got to factor in for this guy, he's got like a thicker coat.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So any questions before we get started?
No, it was the crate thing, and like in the morning, okay, he's in his crate all night. He sleeps quiet as a little mouse. Nothing happens. We get up, we take him out, bring him in, and he just barks. And I don't know if he's barking because he's...
to go potty or something?
No, he takes care of all of that when we take him out.
He wants a treat or he barks because he wants this.
Sure. Attention
Yeah.
barking.
I guess,
Yeah.
you know, and so then recently we started, okay, instead of just go out to the dog run, we're going for a walk at 6 in the morning. Thinking, okay, you're going to be a little tired. No, he
Sure.
just thinks that he needs to bark at us.
Yeah, so all that stuff is relatively simple. In theory, in terms of addressing it, so it's like having a puppy is like having a toddler or a kid. So I was raised old school, I was spanked. So if I didn't do my homework, if I didn't do my chores, or if I talked back to my mom, spank, right? One solution or one consequence for a multitude of behaviors.
Yeah.
Same thing for the dog, okay? So the barking in the kennel, the frustration barking, the jumping on you, chewing on things, it's correction.
Okay.
Okay? And then with this prong, like there's like short leashes. I forgot what they're called. There's like a special name for them. They're like a foot long,
You mean this, but
something like that, but shorter, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
you can have the puppy with the leash dragging. Some people are like, I don't want my dog dragging a long leash because they'll chew it. Then they just get the shorter one, so that if the puppy does something, they have something that they can correct
right.
them with.
Oh,
Okay.
Real short instead of this whole big thing.
Correct, right? There's no right or wrong. It's like whatever the person wants to do.
Oh, I see.
In
Okay.
some cases, the puppy will learn when you approach them, you're going to correct them, so they'll start running away. That people will opt for the longer one because at least they have something they can step on, so they can correct the dog. Okay, so we'll just see how all that stuff works
You're a
out.
lot smarter than you think.
Yes. Okay. Anything else?
No, I think those are the two things: the barking and getting him in the crate so that we could leave.
Okay, cool. So you can set up that Zoom session whenever you want. You don't have to wait a week.
Okay.
For the in-person stuff, I suggest at least a week, so it gives you plenty of time to practice, make mistakes, learn what you need to work on, so that when you
Yeah.
come back, we got plenty.
Okay.
That you can schedule whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Okay. So what
Oh,
we're
you
gonna,
mean the rest of our 1-hour classes?
the Zoom sessions,
Oh, the Zoom.
right? Because you have
just the
6 in
Zoom.
person and then
Right.
2 Zoom. So the Zoom, you don't have to wait a week. You could book that like middle of the week if you'd like, so you can start working on that. For this stuff, the in-person, I suggest a week in between each class.
Right. Okay. So we're going to come on 6 Sundays, but the Zoom is live.
Correct.
Live, not like a taped presentation.
Correct.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah. So
okay.
she'll send you a link. You click on it. Hi, how you doing?
Okay.
And then you have your questions, and we start tackling those
Oh, I
subjects.
see. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's all. Those 2 things.
So with what we're going to focus on today is leash walking to work on the pulling stuff. This is the basis for everything that we're going to be doing, right? So it's going to essentially teach them what the prong means, so that when you start to correct them in the home, like there's an understanding.
Right, okay.
So just and he's a little wrapped up there. So the reason for the prong collar is it's meant to mimic a mother's bite, the way it's shaped and everything. So it's more natural to dogs. Don't worry about hurting them or anything like that. Dogs bite each other, is what I tell everybody. Okay. Scott said, yank him till he yelps, right?
Yeah.
The reason why he said that was because you have to make it meaningful, right? Now, for a dog, a light little tug like that could be enough. For other dogs, it's like a firmer one. We're going to figure out where he lies, okay? So I'm going to give you an easy exercise, and I'm going to use Bailey here to demonstrate.
Okay.
So I'm going to have you do this as much as possible without me touching Smokey,
Oh, okay.
so that you learn more, okay? If I have to step in, I'll step in.
Okay.
So for the foundation for the heel exercise, right? We do left side, which I see you already positioned, is when we're walking with him in the beginning, he's most likely going to go ahead like this,
Yeah.
right? He's not trained. Most people, and that's not wrong, okay,
No.
what you're doing,
Okay.
but we have 2 aspects to this, okay? And feel free to move our stuff, sir, if you want to sit down, okay?
No, that's fine.
Is we have training the handler and training the dog, okay? 2 different things. Training the dog is to train Bailey here, or Smokey, to walk next to you completely slack leash, and he's here, okay? This eliminates the ability for the dog to be able to pull, right? Because you're limiting how much leash there is,
Okay.
They kind of go hand in hand. Okay, so when you're in training mode, when you want to teach Smokey to walk with you, you're actually wanting to give more slack. Okay, because we're gonna teach him. Okay,
To be there. Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
But let's say you're going for a walk, he's still learning, and you want to be able to just walk and not have to worry about all that stuff. You shorten the leash. Now you give him less leverage to pull ahead. So the more slack you have, because our center of gravity is here, is if the dog pulls, we go like that, right? When we shorten it like this, now I have more leverage because it's immediate. Okay, the more slack there is, the more pulling power they have.
Right.
Okay? Questions so far?
Well, a lot of, like sometimes we're walking and he's just doing really nicely, and then a dog comes and.
He goes like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
There's going to be two to three answers for that.
Oh.
One is when we start incorporating corrections, he's going to start thinking differently. Okay, because no one's told him you can't do that.
Yes.
That's one thing.
Right.
The other thing is formal training, of just walking, like knowing this is what I'm supposed to do, no matter what's going on.
Oh.
Okay? And the other is, let's say you're in that middle phase where he's still making mistakes, and maybe you just don't want to deal with it in the moment, then I'm here. Right? I'm setting myself up to have more leverage to have more leverage, so that if he decides to dart, he's not going to bring me down with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like,
So what makes me a good trainer is I'm not focused on one black and white answer. There's a multitude, and I go by what's going to work best in the situation. Okay. So that's why it's not just training the dog, obviously it's training you guys too, and you have to decide what's best for you and Smokey within that context. Okay? Other questions?
No, that was a good one because, you know, something like, okay, he's walking along and, you know, he smells something and of course he has to stop and he like really digs in his paws and it's like I have to...
Sure. Yeah.
Come on, we're moving.
Typical puppy stuff.
He's not moving.
Yes, so we'll cover all that stuff today, okay? So we're gonna start off with just the basic foundation of what heel is, okay? So we're doing left, dog's right shoulder, parallel to your left leg is what it's supposed to look like, okay? What we're gonna do here is when Smokey gets ahead of you, instead of pulling back, you're actually gonna make a complete 180 turn, going the opposite way, okay? So if I'm walking with Bailey, he gets ahead, instead of trying to pull him back, which is people's first instinct, I'm gonna go the opposite way. And the prong of us separating should cause it to constrict, right? And then Smokey turns and goes, oh, mom and dad are going that way, and then he catches up. Okay, so then he's back here again.
Then he catches up.
Now, in the beginning, he might overshoot it, so then you're doing another turn to the immediate right. Okay, so you're going to be doing...
Okay, so he turned once, and then we're going this way, and he's way over there, and so then
and then again. Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate with Bailey here.
One thing, do you think this is the right, is it tight enough or not?
It looks a little
enough?
loose, but since he's a puppy, we're going to see how he does.
Oh, okay.
Because for puppies, they can be dramatic with the prong collar. That's what I was saying, like have them wear it for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Because then they throw a spiel, and then everybody's like, what are you doing to the puppy? And he's like, he's just being a jerk, but then everybody thinks you're abusing your dog, and it gets really, it's complicated.
Well, we don't want that to happen.
Okay, so we're going to leave it how it is. We can always adjust it.
Okay.
Okay, other questions?
Nope, I think we're good.
Alrighty, so I'm going to use Bailey here. So we're walking, right? So if I go the opposite way, and I just gave him a quick little pop there as I turn. So you see how he's lagging a bit?
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I'm going to bring him up a bit. There we go. Good. Good. Right, so you see how the leash is completely slack here? So I'm giving them the opportunity to make that mistake, okay? Because this is training the dog now. Okay. So we have handler mode and we have dog training mode, as I like to think of it. Go. Good. Right, with no tension.
Yeah.
Right. Now he's had some baseline obedience already, but it's really that simple. Okay, and it's almost always that quick if you have good correction. Okay, so with no tension, he's walking with me. The sit we might get, if we don't worry about it. Okay, he's already had a little bit more training, but that's your picture. Okay, when you're walking with Smokey and you're in a training mode, you shouldn't have to have a tight leash. It should be flat. Okay. And if I turn and like right there he was distracted, immediately I kicked in with the correction because I'm trying to catch him as soon as possible.
Before he gets interested in something else.
Correct, right? So what happens is he thinks, man, if I get too like mentally distracted by this thing, a correction comes out of nowhere, right? We tend to give warnings a lot. No, this way, come on, over here, we're going this way, right? You're trying to use sound. Sound means nothing until you reinforce it, right? So if my mom said, Jesse, don't do that, it was just, Jesse, don't do that, until I got my ass whooped for the first time. Then Jesse, don't do that had a very different meaning, right? Same thing for the dog, but I don't do warnings because then you always have to warn.
Yeah, you always are going to be saying no or come or whatever.
And what I want is pay attention to me because there might be a random correction out of nowhere. That's the dog's brain. Okay? So I let him do his own thing, and I just take the opportunity whenever I see him going off or getting too distracted to go the opposite way and give that correction, okay? Now, you're fine. The reason for going the opposite way is it gives the dog something to attach to, okay? Most people do this, right? They yank the dog back
Yeah.
to correct the pulling, to teach them don't do that, and they'll say heel once the dog is here, right? You're fine. So they don't connect those dots, okay? Because they don't understand that pulling is a bad thing,
Oh.
okay? Because he's got 4 legs, I have 2. He has a faster cadence than I do, right? So what I do is I let the dog make a decision. I go, sure, you want to go that way? I want to go this way, but I have this thing here that's going to bite you. So then when he turns around, he's like, oh, Jesse's going that way. So then he starts to connect the dots. So every time I feel this, Jesse's doing something different. But when I'm here next to him, nothing happens. Okay? So that's why we go opposite to the dog as opposed to arguing with them
Right.
and then having to pull them back. It's a forever problem.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So I'm going to give one more quick demonstration, and then I'm going to have you do the same thing with Smokey. You'll do just fine. Okay? So we're moving again. I have a slack leash here. You know, I can take it up, give him about 4 feet or so. Good. 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 Right? Questions?
Okay, sometimes you're telling him good and sometimes you're not.
Yeah, it's just me being, because I actually typically don't say anything,
Oh, okay.
but I'm saying good when he's here, right? Now I had you guys bring treats to help balance things out, okay? So the one extra step that you're gonna have is giving a treat once Smokey is here, okay? So think of it. It's okay. There you go. You want him on your right or your left?
Oh, my left.
There you
Sorry.
go.
I was thinking my other left.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
So, and you don't have to worry about this in the beginning, okay? So we'll focus on one thing, then we'll add in the second thing, okay? But what it would look like is if Smokey passed and you turned, right? And he came here, you would give him a piece of food here once he hits the right spot.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we won't worry about that quite yet,
Yeah, okay.
but we'll implement it and it'll make things clearer for him.
Oh,
Okay? So what I'm gonna have you do is go ahead and let that left hand go and go ahead and just grab with your other hand higher up like that. So you have a good hold.
Oh,
Okay?
okay.
So there you go. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna walk forward,
Okay.
and the moment Smokey,
Just in the wrong place.
you're good. Yep, go ahead and turn.
Should I get him over here where he belongs?
Use your leash, keep forward, pull to your left, and then relax. Okay, now turn to your right. Good. And forward. Forward. Yep. Now to your right.
Oh, I went to the left.
Good. Forward. To your right. Like that. And relax.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Keep forward. To your right. Yep. You're good. There you go.
I'm having difficulty straight and left.
And forward. Yep. Give it a little slack here. There you go. Good. Get a good hold though. Perfect. To your right. Forward. Good. Careful. Hold. So yeah, gentle bite here. There you go. So you see how he crosses there?
Yeah.
That's where you immediately turn to your right. Okay? So anytime he's getting ahead of you, or head up you. Forward. Yep, forward. Walk. There you go. Good. and relax. Good.
Now what about his way over there?
Go ahead and pull in as you move forward.
Oh.
There you go. Good, and relax. Good. There you go. That was a good move. Good move. You're good. Forward. Yep. Good move. Yep. And relax. Good.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that.
All right, we're gonna pause for a second. You getting dizzy? All right. So that was good. All right. Now we're gonna add another little step. So now you have your turns. Okay. So you're walking, turn, right? Turn, always to that immediate right, just like that. But it's not enough for him to pay attention, right? Because he keeps still doing other stuff.
Right.
So that was one part of it.
Okay.
Now, when you turn, I'm gonna have you give a pop or tug on that leash. And I don't want you to tug and hold. It's really quick, just like that. Was perfect, okay?
Oh, okay.
So now when you're turning, as you're turning, you're gonna give that pop and relax so that he's being corrected for going ahead and being redirected to come this way. Does that make sense? So it's gonna make those turns.
Makes sense, yeah, whether I do it or not, that's another
It's
question.
gonna make the turn more meaningful now.
Okay, so am I gonna pull with this hand or am I gonna pull with this hand?
You could do both. So if you hold here, right, give a little bit of slack, like that, that's good. Because you need slack in order to get leverage or momentum like that, okay? If you have it too tight, it's tight and then tighter, then back to tight again. Okay, that's why you want a slack leash, okay? So then when you turn and you give that correction, it's gonna make the turn meaningful. All the turns you're doing here, nothing was happening,
Yeah.
right? So that's why he was just dilly-dallying all over the place, okay?
Oh, okay.
Now that we add these in, it should start making things more serious, okay? And we'll see how he does,
Okay.
okay? Questions?
Okay. No, we'll try.
Go for it. More slack? Yeah. Pull them to your left forward. There you go. That's good. Yep. So those are more like you're like you see how you're kind of dragging them.
Yeah.
You're wanting a real quick motion where you're not physically moving them.
Oh,
Okay. I'll be trying one more time,
okay.
and then
So when I pull him, okay, he's up. All right.
so if he's getting ahead of you, right?
Yeah.
That correction that you did in the very beginning, where you just went like the quick pop, was perfect. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But when you were moving and you did the turn, the leash, it seemed like the leash was taut, that it was just tight to tighter, back to tight again. And you need loose to tight to loose.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try.
Okay.
Okay. Come on. Oh no, I should have done it.
Good.
I'm
Some, he's responding.
okay.
Okay. Pull to your left. No, that's correct. Good. And good. Yes, that was better.
Oh.
Keep forward. Yep. There you go. Good. Now relax. Good. Forward. Yep, just forward. Don't worry about that for now. Good. Now I'm going to have you walk slow here. Slower. Almost. Stop. See that? Yeah. Okay. So he's still learning right now.
Yes.
But I can already see that he's starting to grasp mom means business.
Ah,
Okay?
with that stronger tug.
Correct, right? So That's why you had the jumping, because he's like, crap, mom, that's too much, right? So then we bypass it. As you expose him more and he starts to understand what's going on, that frustration should dip, okay? So most people, they see that, they would correct that as well. There's really no right or wrong, but since I know it's frustration from the puppy, and the first time being physically disciplined, I let it ride a little bit to see if he just resolves it himself. If he doesn't, then we will absolutely correct him.
Pull him down.
Correct.
Give him a little tug and
You would go opposite, right? Because he's jumping up, so then you go down and off of him.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Good. Let's, so you have good. Let me have you slide that left hand up to your right hand, like that. Good. Like that.
I think I need to retrain because that's how I walk him with his hand
Yes,
down there.
right. Because you want to think training mode,
Yeah.
walking mode, and then like handler mode, right? Like there's like different kind of mindsets. Once you get used to it, you know, it's okay. Yeah. Just 1 second. Good.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yep. Keep forward. Keep forward. Keep forward. Yep. Keep forward. Good. There he is. Good. Now slow. Slower. Turn. Yep. Light turn. There you go. Good. Relax that left hand. There you go. Keep forward. Better. Much better. Good. Yep. There you go. Good. And just keep forward. Good. Yep. Keep forward. There you go. You got it. Good. Keep forward. And relax. Good. Good.
Daddy's a mail truck over there. You're right, the mail truck is over there.
Turn. Correct. Good. Relax. Good. Slower. Slower to stop. There you go. So you see when you change your pace,
Yeah.
what do you do?
You slow down too.
And what else?
You looked at me.
Yeah, he looked at you. Right? So now, what we're building here is body awareness. Okay? Body awareness is paying attention to how you're moving, what you're doing. Okay? So the reason for the slowing down is to tell Smokey something's changing. I'm going to stop or I'm going to turn. To give him the chance to do so with you. It would be, so when he passes, you just turn and correct. He's not paying attention, right? But if he's doing a good job, and I just did that out of nowhere, it would be unfair.
Yeah, right.
So
All
we
of a
slowed,
sudden change.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like driving. Before we stop, we slow down, and before we turn, we slow down, right? To let others around us know something's changing. Same thing for Smokey. So if you're going at a regular pace for 15 minutes and you just stop,
Right.
you'll go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So then you slow down. If Smokey's paying attention, he slows
He's
down.
gonna sense that I'm slowing down and then.
Correct. Now, let's say Smokey doesn't slow down. What happens?
Well, I'm yanking him back.
And then you're going to be turning and correcting.
Oh,
right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you want to forget the habit of this,
Yes.
of yanking back.
Okay.
We're replacing it with the yank, but with the turn. Okay?
Okay.
Because you have to correct them. Don't go that way. I'm going this way. Because you're teaching him to pay attention to you. Okay?
Yes.
So, slowing down, if he's paying attention, he should slow down as well. We stop, we're good. Okay? If I slow down and Smokey is not paying attention, he passes, to which I turn, correct, and go the other way. Okay? And if you have to keep going this way, then we just slow and turn and come back, continue this way.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? Good. We're going to try that again. Okay, that was good. Yep, perfect. I was just about to tell you. Okay? Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Go.
There you go. Good. forward, keep forward, keep forward. Yep, there you go. Good. Good, and relax. Good. Try this right there. All right. So the only time you're gonna pop him on that collar is when he's ahead of you. Okay. So when he moves to your right, you wouldn't yank him to your left. Okay. You're gonna just use gradual pressure. Okay.
Okay, so he's over here and I just gradually turn
yeah.
him
So
around.
you would walk this way, right?
Yeah.
Smokey comes here.
Yes.
Wrong.
Yes.
You wouldn't yank. You would just slowly pull him over, and once he's in position, you relax. Okay? If he pulls off to the side, you're gonna slowly pull him back in as you walk and relax, okay? So what you're doing, because if everything is met with a yank, you're gonna make him really nervous, okay? So we're just worried about Smokey. Here, just follow me, right? Everything else is gradual pressure, okay?
It's only if he gets ahead of me is when I do that.
Turn and
Yeah. Otherwise,
correct.
just gradually bring him to where he's supposed to be.
Correct. Yank. Oh, when you see him get out of position, you always keep your momentum.
Just don't like, oh, why are you back there? Just
Yes.
go it.
Because what happens is, Smokey pulls off to the left to sniff something, and the person stops. Dog goes, oh, you stopped. They just keep sniffing, right? But if you keep moving and you gradually bring them over, you're giving them something to attach to. It's very clear. We're still walking, right? Whenever you stop, you give the dog more time to become more involved with the distraction. Okay? So you keep your momentum, and you just make him go. So like when he jumps on you, you know, just grab, pull him over, keep moving. Okay? Let's try one more, and then we'll try with Michael. Good. Good. Slow to turn. Good. You're going to speed up a little. Relax. Yep. That's correct. Bring in a little more. Keep forward, keep forward. There you go. And then relax. Good. Try one more little walk, then we'll swap.
Okay. Come on, let's go. Okay.
Right, good job. And then turn. Good job. Keep forward, keep forward. Good. And relax. Good. Very good. Look at that.
I don't know about very good.
Yeah.
Maybe adequate.
The stuff, the stuff that I'm seeing here is typical puppy stuff.
Oh.
Because he's not had discipline like this.
Right, no.
So he's gonna overreact, right? That's why your energy is good. You're very just mild, right? Just like, here I am. So when he acts out, a lot of times you can get frustrated. No, stop.
Yes.
And then you're creating this big energy, right? What he's doing is not being bad. He's frustrated. He's learning. He's panicking a little bit. So then if you meet that with negative energy, you create a bigger problem. But if he's like, oh, mom wasn't bothered by it, then I guess I shouldn't be bothered by it. It's like kids, right?
Okay,
They fall off
so
the
like
bike.
when he jumped, I shouldn't stop. I should
Just
keep
keep your
going
momentum.
and pretend like it never even happened.
Correct. And if you need to, you can adjust your leash so you can pull him off. And I keep walking. Okay? So I'm very indifferent. So like with kids, they fall off the bike, you make it a big scene.
Right, you run over there right away, yeah.
You know, all that stuff. You teach them to recover. No big deal. Dust it off. Get back on the bike. There you go. Same thing with these guys. Okay? He's like he's a 3 to 4 year old toddler.
Yeah.
Permanently, forever. Okay? Just so you know that.
That's not encouraging.
Yeah. With humans, we mature,
Yes.
right? These guys don't. But he'll be just fine.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay?
yeah, he'll be fine. Okay.
Let's go to swap.
Your turn.
Do you have any questions, Michael, before you start?
Do you want him right on my left side, or can he go out on or off?
You want them as close as possible on that left side, right? Ideally through his own choice. So like, meaning after a correction, he should be placing himself close by, right? I wouldn't be walking with them pulled in and forcing them here, okay? So we established that closeness simply by doing those turns that Melanie was doing, okay? If he starts to space off a little bit, you can pull him in to direct him, and as he comes in, I relax again. So you're trying to teach Smokey that there's a pocket here, that when he's within that pocket, everything's good.
Stay there.
Correct, okay? So we do want to give a bit more slack here. There you go. And then with the left hand, just a wee bit more with the left hand. More slack right there, perfect, okay? I'm gonna have you first focus on just the about right turn, okay? Just this. Don't worry too much about the correctional pops quite yet, okay? Forward,
Just the right turn.
just the right turn, good. Yep, forward, good, relax, good. Forward. That's fine, good. Good, go slow, turn to the right. You're good. Good. Slack. You have a biker behind you. So you know.
Horrible job. Raising her. Horrible.
Good, relax, good. To your right. Yep. Good, we're gonna try a couple more. Good. Good. Slow turn, very good. Forward, good. So as long as he turns, we do nothing. Okay, you saw how Smokey went around Michael there? We don't do anything there. Good. Forward, yep, there you go, correct, forward. Good. Relax, slow turn. And then slow, slower, stop. Very good, right there. Look at that, okay? That was good, right? So we're just getting in the habit of making those right turns. Just building that habit, right? Now we're gonna do the same thing, and as you can see, the foundation that you set with Smokey there transferred over to Michael,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a lot better.
The same moves, then it should transfer from one
correct.
to the other.
Yes, the foundation, the exercise is the same, the handler is different, okay? So, you know, let's say you train Smokey, right, all this stuff, and then you give him to someone who knows the same exercises, right away, just transfers.
Also, it's constant.
Yeah, okay, it just has to be consistent. So, now we're gonna do the same thing, but now when you turn, if Smokey's ahead of you, you're gonna add in that correctional pop, okay?
A
Questions?
pop and then release.
Correct, okay?
Okay.
When you're ready,
Okay. Ready? Let's go.
good. You bring Bailey? We got a distraction. Right there, turn, correct. There you go, good, and forward. Yeah.
No, you guys want over here.
Our blanket's over here.
You usually take me
So we're starting to make it attack.
the brown part, the
Forward,
brown
Jack.
Okay, well, we can't right now, guys, because our moms are over here.
Want to
Okay?
step closer to the sidewalk, please?
Mom,
Right there. Now we're going to use Bailey.
we're gonna go to that other part.
Turn, on, turn, and correct. So right there, he went off a little bit. Okay. Forward, yep, you're good. Correct, good. Forward, that's good. Slow turn. Good. Good. Going to give a little bit of slack here. Walk by Bailey. Gonna watch. Turn. Correct. Top. There you go. Right there. Bring in. Good. Slow turn back. Good. Keep forward. Good. Try Correct. Good. Good job. And forward. Good. Nice. Good. Watch what he does here. Thought about it, right? He like angled out, but then like saw dad, and it came back in again, right? Now turn, correct?
Oh,
There you go. And relax, slow to stop. Right there. And lightly pull up. Right there, correct. Very good. So what I want to see ideally is when we pass by Bailey, if you've done a good correction, you would actually see Smokey move into you. He would move away from the dog and move into you because he's thinking, if I get close to the dog, correction happens. Okay? What we saw was he angled out a bit, thought about it, and came in a little bit. Okay, so it wasn't 100% perfect, but it registered not to get too involved with Bailey. Okay? Questions?
this is fine, but like in the city, all the smells and the buildings and all that, that's what he gets. He can walk really good and then boom,
Sure.
he's got the urine smell.
What I would do is, if you go in the morning, let's say it's quiet, is you do this approach. Because you don't have to worry about people, right? So if he goes and makes like the smell of pee, correct? Boom, back the opposite way now, right? If there's people, then I would go with shortening the leash in that time, okay? So, because if you just turn and there's people behind you, it can be a problem, right? So that's like blending things, right? Until you get him to the point where you can walk past anything and he doesn't care, okay? So for him, in order for him to learn to not do something, he's technically got to do it and then be corrected for it, okay? And you can even correct when you see the thought. So like, let's say there's a piece of food and he sees it, right? And you know it's gonna lead to this. The moment he looks, correction. Don't even look at the food, right? Because people tend to wait for the dog to already be grabbing it. It's too late, right? And a lot of dogs will take the correction just to get the food.
He's going after the wrapper.
Yeah. So you want to correct before he's even able to do so. So he goes, crap, I can't even think about eating the food. Otherwise, the correction happens. Okay, we tend to wait till the behavior's already at its worst. I get it, ideally, as soon as I see it about to happen. Okay, so you can go preemptively.
What about
Gonna watch here.
the same thing? Okay, like he loves to sniff the bushes.
Oh, sure,
You know, stop and or something.
sure.
Yeah.
You know, up until now, we're like, okay, come on. So that's another time we do.
Yeah, once you're walking, right? We're walking. And then we need an off switch. Okay, so right now we're not worried about heel, because the word is heel, right? I'm not gonna have you worry about that right now. Just the moment you come out, he's here, okay? What we will do is add as a release word, which is break,
Oh,
okay? I think for Copper should be the same, break.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah,
What if
break,
he go pee, boom,
he's
and
done,
that's a
right? So heel means, boom, you're here, and then I come to a stop, I wait, break. Now puppy's free to pee, poop, do his doggy thing, right? So it's very clear. Most people think, well, my intention is to walk the dog so that they pee so they don't potty in the house, right? I get that. But when you're trying to do training and teaching them, there's a very clear on and off. It has to be he's here, nothing else, and on his own time he can do whatever, okay? So if you're walking with them and you see him go to pee, I correct him and I keep walking, but I now know he has to pee, so I just walk a few more steps, stop, break, now you can pee, okay? So it's not that I'm not letting him, I'm just not letting him do it when he wants to, I'm putting it on my cue, okay? So with these guys, it's typically easier to start off with a potty break first, let him get his business out,
Yes.
then do your structured walk.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Because, you know, we'll take him out to this little dog run in our parking lot.
That's fine.
You know, first thing in the morning, beeline to do that. And so we should do that and then go for a walk.
Yeah. So in that time, don't worry about, you can shorten your leash. Don't worry about like letting it be slack and doing your training. Just get it out the way. Okay.
So take care of that and then do the training. Then do the walk.
Correct.
The way he's supposed to.
Yes. And then once you come back, I end it with another potty break. Okay? So I tend to do 80% work to 20% play. So if it's an hour walk, 45 minutes is structure, and 15 minutes will be broken up during that walk. So I can do 5 in the beginning, 5 in the middle, 5 at the end, and then we're done, right? Because your puppy or your dog becomes what you let them practice. So if you're practicing running around and being crazy, you get a running around being crazy kind of dog, right? But if I practice discipline and structure, and then I reward with these privileges, you get a balanced dog. Okay?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
And in terms of like how many times, there's really no such thing as too much of this because the walking alleviates any stress that's pent up from like the corrections. Okay? So if all you have is a solid hour, go for an hour. Ideally, shorter chunks is better in the beginning, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. Because they process things like right now, he's like processing everything that just happened. Okay? So it gives them time to think through all that stuff without like overloading. But you can, if all you have is an hour, you can do that too.
Yeah, no, we usually go like a couple, like 3 times a day we take for a walk.
Sure.
Around the block or whatever. But,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. No.
Trying to think here. So we covered that. We're gonna not worry too much about the jumping and stuff. Okay, we're gonna see if that. We'll give it a week to see if that just goes away. Okay, if you feel like it's getting worse or staying the same, just let me know, and then I'll let you know if we can do anything to address that sooner rather than waiting it out.
Actually, he's never done that
He's just starting now.
on our walk.
Last
He's
couple
never
days.
jumped on us like that.
Oh, sure.
So
Okay.
I think it's just part of the frustration of the new thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a kid, right? They do whatever they want, and all of a sudden you want to put rules on it. Like it's not gonna be easy, right?
Yeah.
So now the last thing that we're going to add in here, okay, are the treats. Okay, so what we're going to do, everything that you've been doing, okay, and the final step is when Smokey gets off the horse and you correct them, and back here, right, have a treat ready. Just as you're walking, give him a quick reward and just keep moving. So you're rewarding him when he's here, when he comes to position. You wouldn't reward them as you're walking, okay? Because I know something like they'll hold the food here, or they'll reward the dog intermittently as they're walking. Don't worry about that. You're just rewarding when Smokey comes to position. So like you can even do it if he goes to the right, and you pull him to the left, and he comes to the feet. Does that make sense? So you're just trying to incentivize them to gravitate to this area here, to the left side, okay? Questions? Who wants to give it a go first?
You have treats in your house.
Yeah, so go ahead and get a couple of treats ready.
Okay.
Yep. And
Start it off.
yep, whenever you're ready, just move. Yep, forward. Good. Good, and then there you go. Then you feed there. Right? So right when you came to that left side,
Right.
you give the reward. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Try it again. Forward. Good. Then reward. Yep. Good. Excellent. And forward. Good. And then reward. Good. Ignore that for now. Okay? Yeah. If we try to tackle too many things at once,
Yes.
it's gonna be, he's not gonna know what to pluck out
Oh.
what you're wanting, right? Because for us, like, it's very specific. For him, he's got to decipher from all these things what it is you're not wanting him to do, right? So we're going to let it slide for 1 week, okay? Because this is his first introduction to corrections, the structure of things, right? So I'm giving him a little bit of leeway, because I get that he's a puppy. Him, he wasn't doing the same behaviors, but he's an adult dog, okay? So adult dogs, I can come in firmer. It's like when you talk to another adult, right?
Right.
You hold them to a higher expectation because they're an adult. Whereas with a kid, you understand, like, you haven't had that many life experiences. I got to give you some gray area, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm giving him a little bit of gray area, just because a lot of times these things will resolve themselves just through more exposure.
Oh.
Okay. Because he's not doing it to be mean. He's
Right.
doing it because he's frustrated. He doesn't know what's
Yeah,
going
he
on.
doesn't know. Okay.
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 So
So,
say, and don't worry so much about perfect.
yeah.
Okay, don't worry about timing and all that stuff. Don't worry about perfect. Just, you guys are good. So when you turn, like there was a couple times that he went off and then Michael pulled him in. That was fine.
Oh.
Okay, and then you gave him a reward. That's fine. Okay. As he starts to get the concept more and more, it'll become more clear to him. Okay.
That's where he needs to be, not over there.
Exactly.
Over here.
Okay. If we see this being a consistent problem, then we'll worry about it then.
Okay.
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 Question?
And now.
Yeah, so you can have one ready, right, in your left hand. Yep, so you have them in your right, have one in your left, so that when you get ready to correct, excuse me, you're ready to feed. Okay? Good. Right there. Good job. Very good. Can you let you out more?
Yeah. He's figured that out a long time ago.
Yep, good. Good job. Forward. Yep. There he is. Good. Try for 3 more. Forward, good. Yep. Good. Good. And relax. Good. Like that was a good one. Very good. A little pull here, a little nudge. There you go. A little nudge. Good. Nudge. Good. Forward. You got it. Forward. You can relax. Good. Good. Forward. Yep. Good. 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 One more. Oh, you dropped it? Fine. Let's try one more time. Good. And then slow to stop when you're ready. Good. Like that, right? Now let's say he sits automatically. That's supposed to happen. Okay. You can feed that as well, right? When he sits on his own, to incentivize him. You know, if he doesn't, pull up on the leash, get that butt down. And when you're stationary, that's what he's supposed to be doing. Butt down. That's it. Okay. So when you're moving, he's here. When you're not moving, he's still here, only in a sitting position.
Okay, how about like when we come to an intersection? Should we just say sit, or should we pull up on this, so he sits because we have to wait for the light?
Sure. So if he's paying attention, so far from what I've been seeing from Smokey, if he's paying attention, you slow down, he slows down with you, and you stop, he should
And then
automatically
just-
sit.
Oh, sit. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Now, if he doesn't, yes,
Then
you would
you can-
reinforce, and then what you would also do is shorten your leash, right? During whenever you're stationed. So let's say you see someone as you're walking Smokey, you're gonna have a conversation. You would come to a stop, he stops with you, and I just automatically do this, right? So, because as you get more involved in that conversation, what if someone's coming with their dog, right?
Yes.
You're gonna become less aware.
Right.
So this way, if he's got the full slack, he's gonna bring you down.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing that, you're just taking a precaution.
So that
So
he
he doesn't-
doesn't have anywhere to go.
Correct, right? Now, he may still try to lunge, but at least he won't take you with him. And then you can just correct him, reposition him, and then go back to that conversation. So the structure is, when I'm moving, you're moving with me. When I'm not moving, you're sitting down, okay? Break would be, you can do your dog with it,
Okay.
okay? If he were to try to lay down or try to stand up, you would simply reinforce it by using your collar. You wouldn't say sit,
Oh, don't say sit.
no, okay?
Okay.
So next week when I see you, we're going to use the word heel, okay, or let's go. I think you guys,
Yeah.
is that what Scott uses? I don't think, does he use
I
heel
don't
or
know
does
what
he go?
Jason says.
Or
What
Jay,
does
I'm,
he
not-
say?
I'm thinking about his last name.
Yeah, an easy mistake. I don't know what he says.
Okay, I use heel. You can use let's go, whatever you want, right? So next week we would officially layer in that word
Okay.
to turn everything on. And there's going to be a few other things that we're going to incorporate to communicate with Smokey what you're doing, okay? So then you have a very clear on switch and a very clear off switch, right? Heel means walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. It's a package.
Oh.
If
okay.
you say sit, then it becomes heel, sit, heel, sit, heel, sit, right?
Mhm.
And I just want heel and boom,
Done.
we're good, okay? So we'll worry about that next week. For this week, I would just default into this stuff, right?
Okay.
He's got his potty break. You start walking, correct him if you need to. Now we're going, right? The moment he feels that prong kick in, he's gonna think business, okay? So most dogs just default into it. You don't have to worry so much about the word. If it makes you feel better, because a lot of my clients, they're like, Jesse, when is the dog? I'm like, they just kick in the gear, like they don't need it,
They don't
but
need
the
the
human
word.
needs it
Yes.
to kind of
Oh.
figure out like what's going on, okay?
Okay.
So for this week, if you use let's go or you know, what all that stuff, like
Yeah.
I don't care.
Okay.
Next week when I see you, we'll really clarify all those
All
things,
those. Oh,
okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Your corrections are good, okay? When I was watching, that was the one thing that about the prong collar, is that either it's difficult for the owner to do so because they feel bad, or they just don't have the skill set. Like it's technical, right? So your corrections look good. That with the barking and kennel stuff, using that tool, you should be okay when we address it. Okay, we'll see what happens, but
Yeah.
you're doing it correctly.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Keep the fun on all day long.
When you definitely not when you walk him. If you want to go ahead and start tackling things in the home and correcting them, it's all it is a pop. So imagine like if he was barking and his mama dog thought it was annoying, she'd just go up and bite him. There is no communication of please be quiet.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, because like saying no doesn't really.
Yeah, because
have
it doesn't mean
any
anything yet.
effect.
Correct.
Or- yeah. Oh, okay.
Now
Okay.
you can make no mean something. Going to reposition. Perfect. You can make no mean something by attaching it to a correction. So like earlier when I said when my mom said don't do that, and then she spanked me for the first time, don't do that meant something totally different,
Yeah.
right? Same thing for these guys, okay? So anything that you disagree with, jumping, like in the home, counter surfing, barking at you and stuff, if he's got his collar on, you can use it to correct him, okay? You can use this leash, just be mindful that he doesn't chew it,
Yeah.
and you can even correct that too, right? So let's say he gets bored, he starts chewing the leash, you pick it up, correct him, to teach him you don't do that,
Oh, okay.
okay?
Yeah.
But once we have the Zoom, we'll clarify a lot of these things, but if
Okay.
you wanted to start tackling things and like seeing how he does,
Okay.
you can go ahead and try that.
Okay. So what the Zoom is like? Just Zoom, or like is there a title to it?
I'm sorry?
Is there like a title to the? We're just going to connect, and you're going to talk to us. With
Right,
Zoom.
so do you guys have a computer?
Yeah, we have a laptop.
Okay, so you'll get your laptop. It should be as simple as clicking on the link that Maria's going to send you,
Okay.
and it's going to take you to a page.
Yeah. We use Zoom, so I just
Oh,
wasn't
sure.
sure if it was like it had a name or something.
Oh yeah, no, you should get a link, and it'll say like meeting with Canine Perspective or something.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then Maria, when she sends you the invite, On the invite itself, you'll have
There'll
the
be a
link.
link or something.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and you just
okay.
click in and I admit you in and it should be no problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything
Okay.
else?
No, I think we're on overload.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Just wonder, why does some dogs he doesn't care about, and other dogs he
Bring 'em
really
in.
wants to get into?
Oh, 1 second. Go ahead and reposition. Like that and relax. Good. And when he gets like that, you're just going to be direct. Don't worry about the yanking.
Oh.
Okay, so like kind of like what you're doing with the pulling over,
Yeah.
you're just directing him back into position, kind of like a kid. You know, get over here.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And then up like that. He was just getting frustrated because I think a dog passed or he wanted to go to Michael.
Yes.
And then you just, right here. Good. Same thing. And up. There you go. So when you pull up, try continuously
Oh.
and relax.
Ah,
Like
okay,
that.
I see.
There you go. Okay. So you
Yeah,
keep
not
that
just a
pressure on.
jerky
Yeah.
eating. Oh, okay.
Once the dog understands the concept of the behaviors, the jerks are then more kind of, they understand
They
them.
know what. Oh.
Here, the continuous pressure kind of puts them in this position.
Oh,
okay?
I see. To make them go down.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was your question, sir?
Why does Smokey look care less about Bailey, but other dogs he wants to have a
Because
piece
right
of?
now, Bailey's inactive. He's passive energy. Whereas if a dog ran by, he'd most likely want to engage,
Yeah.
right? So if the dog is giving him energy, if he sees another energy, it's going to be more likely to draw him. If it's a more passive dog, like what Bailey's doing right now, plus you also walk past him a couple of times and you corrected him, so that's also
So he knows that.
in his head.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we go along, it'll kind of all these things
Some
kind of
dogs he
stack on
doesn't
each
care
other.
about, and other ones he
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
No, I think it's okay.
So for your Zoom, I'd also suggest you just make a list of things that you want to cover.
Yeah, okay.
You know, in the home,
Okay.
and this way we can get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And then
sure.
we'll just take it from there.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. And then we'll see you next Sunday.
Yes. Okay. And then if the weather changes or something, because we try to keep an eye on the weather.
Yeah.
You know, Maria will reach out like, hey, it's going to rain Sunday, and try to reschedule on the
Oh,
clear
sure.
day.
Okay.
So just so you know.
Yeah. Okay.
We're
Awesome.
tired, so it's a pretty.
Not like we have anywhere to go.
freeze, okay.
Sure. Okay. If you need anything else, you let us know.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
You
You,
done
It
pretty
was a
good,
pleasure.
or,
I got a Zoom and they got another one, and then this guy's a daycare or boarding train type of thing, so they're gonna work with him.